Good day, everybody, and welcome back to the flight deck. We're continuing our tour of Canada. We're currently sitting up in Whitehorse, the capital of the Yukon, flying this A320 in retro Air Canada colors. And today we're going to be hopping over to Yellowknife. Of course, Yellowknife recently was threatened by massive wildfires, and they are currently dealing with the fallout of that situation. But we're going to fly over there, land at the airport, and see how it is. The weather's pretty good. We're in the low teens for the most part. And we should have a nice 2-hour flight ahead of us. So let's hop on board and start getting everything set up. Alright, as per normal, we're in the FENIX A320. And we can do our cockpit prep. We'll just get rid of the pad over on that side. We come down here. We'll log in, bring up our flight plan into the main one here, and we're going to edit our departure time to match what it is going to be. There we go. That's now updated, and we have 95 passengers today. We have 4.5 tons of or 4,500 pounds of cargo and 17,494 pounds of fuel. So let's pop over here and we can start getting the aircraft up and ready to go. So that's our cockpit preparation was done. I'll get that out of the way. Parking brake is on. If we come up top, we can see the ground power is connected, external power is available and is on, and batteries are now on. And we can have them start loading the passengers and baggage.
Boarding requested.
Alright, so with that up and going, we can come up top. We'll turn the ADIRs. All three of them are on. EVAC sign is set to captain and purser. We'll get the signs are on. And we'll get the lights up and going as well. Love hearing those gyros spinning up. They sound really, really cool. And there's our integral lights for the control panels turned up as well. Crew oxygen is now on. Generators 1 and 2 are on and faulted. We'll turn the heat down a little bit so it's not stuffy in the back. Packs 1 and 2 are on and faulted. We can do our fire test. There's the APU. Engine 1 and engine 2. That is good. Emergency exit lights are on. Icing indicator and standby compasses are on, and cargo heat is set to cold. And we are boarding. Alright, let's head down and we can start setting up the FMC. So we're going to pop over here to the... Here we're going to go into our... planning here. We're going to force load the aircraft. Instant load it. There she is. And we'll dismiss that. We'll resend the load sheet. We'll come to ground services. We'll get the jetway and the doors back in place. Get those doors open. Get the stairs in the back as well. Pop out, we can see everything is looking good. Bags are coming. We do have an inbound flight on the way. FedEx is on its way up, but it's still out quite far. So we're going to come into our received messages. We'll pull up the load sheet, and this is going to give us some of our final numbers that we need. So we can pop over to my side, and we'll go to the FMC and start getting ready to set up. So our database is good till tomorrow. We'll have to do an update tomorrow and get all the new information in. Do our initialization, and we will bring in the flight plan. Yeah, I was wondering if I was going to do that because I have a lat and long in there. So we're going to do it manually. So we are at CYXY, which is Whitehorse. We are going to CYZF, which is Yellowknife. We'll get that in there. I have to go bring up my flight plan now. Our alternate is CYMM. is now in there. Flight number is ACA 5556. Cost index of 25. Cruise level, we are going up to 370 today. And we can grab our winds. Alright, winds are in. And going over to page B, we can now enter in some of this information. Block fuel is 17.4. And if we come over to our reserve, it is, I gotta go down to the fuel page, it is 2.1, so 2,100 pounds of fuel. We pop over here, we can get our numbers. 118.4 is our zero fuel weight. That's 118,000 pounds. And if we come over, go to page 2, our center of gravity is 28.2. We'll enter that in, and that is set. Clear out those messages, and we can come over to our flight plan. Alright, so it is just going point to point at the moment. That is fine. What we're going to do is we're going to enter in our flight plan manually. So we are going from CYXY. We are departing on runway 32 left. 2,800 meters, almost 2,900 meters. That is fine. And we're going off the Tamku 3 departure. And we are going up to Mkur. And we will insert that. That gets us out of the mountains and the valley that we're in, and gets us nicely on our way. After Mkur, we have a (62,123) north is the Latin long, so it wants to put in here, so it's 6200 and 12300. 62.00. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. 123.00 west. There we go. Store that. So there's 62,123. We'll go back to our flight plan. And go 62,123 north. There we go. It is now in. And for our arrival into, let's see if it gives my distance. Yeah, that's about right. For the arrival into Yellowknife, we're going to be doing the ILS runway 34 at Igrop. Okay, so ILS 34, no star. We'll see what it does. We'll put in the other points if we need to. We will clear that discontinuity. Yeah, there's OMTAX, but we want IGROP first. So after this, it will be IGROP. And this is the one we want, 62 north, 115 west. We will insert that. Delete that discontinuity. Alright, so there's our takeoff. We're going to head up the waypoints here. Looking at my charts, that all looks good. And we head out to there, then we come in right to IGROP, tax, and we go in. So for IGROP, we want to set a hard 2800. I think. Yeah, we'll set at OMTEX, it'll be a hard 2800. And then we should be good to go in from there. So let's go up, we'll take a look at our plan and make sure it looks appropriate. So there's our departure, we head north up through the valleys, and we come out on top. We make a right turn there at MCOR. And we head out to a waypoint there. I should crank that all the way out. And then into Yellowknife. And if we come back, you can see that is looking very nice. So that is good and nicely set up. IRs will be aligned in 1 minute. And we can carry on with our planning. So the MCDU is set. We're going to climb straight to 37,000. If you hear Molly in the background, she's in her crate. She's usually pretty quiet, so we'll see what happens. Let's get the current weather. There we go. So winds are light. They were kind of out of the north. That's fine. 40 miles of visibility. Few clouds 3,500. Scattered at 5,000. Scattered at 9,500. Broken at 15,000. 11 degrees currently, and 2.994 on the barrel. So there's 2.994 is all set. Somewhere around there will do. We will uncage the standby. There we go. We'll carry on. Transponder is going to be set to 2,000, which it is. PWS is on. GSC is on. Fueling, loading, and boarding are complete. We take a look at the aircraft. Everything has been moved away, and we are good to go. We'll come up. We'll turn on the APU. Start it up, and while we're waiting on the APU to fire up, let's take a look at our route for today. Alright, so we're here at the airport. We're going to be taking off north, flying the departure up through the mountains here, all the way up to MCOR. We're going to make a right turn. We then fly out to the Lat Long waypoint, which we have right here. And then we're going to be flying all the way down here to the entry point into the approach and the ILS for the runway here at Yellowknife, coming in over the water. Very rough and rugged areas out here, especially down here in Yellowknife. I was up there a year ago, and very beautiful, stark area, but very nice to see. So that is the planned flight. It's about 2 hours. And as always, we have some entertainment lined up, and of course the beverage and drinks cart will be available. Alright, looks like the IRSs are aligned and the APU is up. So APU bleed's coming on. External power is now disconnected. Takeoff data is the next thing we have to do. So we're going to pop over here, we'll pop out and into our departure. That's coming up, so we're going off of 3-2 left, surface is dry, final load sheet is in, final weather is in, and we will calculate. This will give us our performance figures, so 128, 130, and 131. Get that in, 128, 130, and 131. It wants us to do a flaps 2 up 0.3. We'll do flaps 2 and up 0.3. And we're going to be flexing today at 62 degrees. That is now entered in. So that information is in and is ready to go. We can pop down to Roger's side. We'll return here. Here's the final load sheet, which is going to be the same as the other one. That's the one that the system actually sends. We'll go into, actually before we do that, we're going to have to, no, wrong aircraft. Into the FMC, and you can go over to the flight plan. So takeoff data is in and set 128, 130. We have 37,000 feet set on the overhead. Flight directors are on both sides. And radios 122, 8 on COM 1. And 121.5 on COM 2. That is set. Alright, so beacon lights are on, fuel pumps, left pumps and right pumps are all on. And we are ready for push and start. Alright, so we are taxiing down to this end of the runway. So we are going to want to have our nose go left, tail go right. For the push.
Hello, Captain. We're ready for pushback.
Alright, so while we do that, we'll pop back over into here. We can have them remove everything finally. We'll get rid of them, the stairs, the GPU, and brakes are set. They can take away the chocks. That's all set. We'll come over to my flight and bring up the route page, and it can sit there for the duration.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted.
It's excellent. Nice to see all the Air Canada equipment and stuff out here. Tug is moving in. We're set 10 and 40. Good, so we want to go our nose to the left, tail to the right.
Locking gear.
So we're in pounds, obviously, with everything here due to the fact that back when the earlier Canada Airbuses were brought in, Canada was still running under the imperial system, not the metric system. And that's why all that is still there. Alright.
Release parking brakes.
Brakes are released.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Alright, so once again, beacon is confirmed on, fuel pumps are confirmed on, engine mode selector to start. Starting engine number 2. A bit of a push out to the taxi line. We'll see how GSX handles it. Looks like it's doing pretty good. This, by the way, is an add-on airport. It is through Sim Add-ons. They do a lot of Canadian airports, so I've been using their stuff. Looks pretty good. Actually got the Yukon flag and the Canadian flag flying. It's nice to see. A little twin otter over there.
Set parking brakes.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
Starting engine number 1. Engine spooling. So we got light off. And we are almost ready. As soon as we start to stabilize on the N1, we'll let them know. There we go.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
So up we go.
Unlocking gear.
Generators 1 and 2 are both on with no faults. Ignition mode selector goes back to normal. There's the tug being unhooked. Probe heat is set for auto. Engine NTH not required. Packs 1 and 2 are both on with no faults. Flaps 2 for takeoff. It is set. Trim 0.3 up, so over to the flight control page. Zoom in here. There's our trim settings, so we're just going to rotate the trim wheel.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
0.3 up.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
Flight controls. It's full left, full right, neutral, full forward, full back, neutral, full left rudder, full right rudder, and neutral. We can come up now. APU bleeds are off. APU is off. FCP is set up. Managed, 37,000 feet managed. Engine instruments are checked. Everything looks good, and we'll bring up the main page. Ground guy is showing us the pin. We are good there. We'll give him the thumbs up. He's going to wave goodbye. Tiller is on. There he is, giving us the wave. Taxi light is now on. Auto brakes set to max. Ground spoilers are armed. Whitehorse area traffic. Air Canada 5556 taxiing runway 32 left via the apron. Echo holding and backtracking to the bottom of 32 left. Now, on other aircraft, it's a FedEx MD-11. It is still pretty far away, and we are really the only ones here. So, not too worried about other traffic. Brakes are released, and we are going to start our taxi. So we'll ding the cabin. We'll do our TO config check. TO config normal. Just waiting for the cabin crew to sign in and let us know that they are ready to go. That's the runway right there. So we're going to do the little jog here around to the right to pick up the taxiway off the apron. So there's a little bit of a hill as well. This is actually the way we came back in. We landed here to the south and then taxied up. No, that's not a Twin Otter. That's a Canadair 215 fire bomber. Fire water bomber. Alright. They do have a stubby little runway here. I guess if they're flying in small little GA aircraft. Never seen them in red and white. We've seen them in yellow like the one up here. We'll pass it on the left. And I did notice some of the train issues with the LOD coming in. A little annoying in there as well. Looks like the cabin is ready. Let's keep our speed up as we taxi out. So as we do taxi down to runway 32 left, just like to remind everybody, if you haven't done so and you're a flight sim enthusiast, why don't you hit the subscribe button? Doesn't cost you anything, helps out the channel, helps us get a little bit bigger and spreads our reach a little bit further. If you like the stream and like the flights we do, consider clicking the like button. Of course, you can always leave a comment on your way out or during the stream. If you are wanting to support us further, you can come over to the Discord, links are in the description, and you can join us there if you have questions about the sim, need help with aircraft or anything like that. We are more than willing to help you out. If you want to help even further, you can either donate or become a channel member. Perks coming soon, including emojis and member-only videos, and we have member-only chats on the Discord. And you can also request flights when you're a member at a certain level. Hello, Liam. The other thing to note is all my live streams are community flights. I love flying with other people. I love introducing them to group flying, proper procedures, and of course VATSIM. We're on VATSIM right now, although there's not a lot of traffic around us. If you wish to join us on these flights, Discord has all the information about what, when, and where, and you're more than able to do so. Mondays, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays are all VATSIM flights. Wednesdays and Sundays are multiplayer in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and you are more than welcome to come in. We fly around the world and everything from airliners to general aviation aircraft. Liam, well, thanks for dropping by. I do appreciate it. Enjoy your day, and thank you for staying as long as you can. Alright, so we are down here at 32 left, but we're going to have to backtrack a little bit to get the whole runway. So we're going to get all the lights on now. Make sure that we have everything up and going. We'll get the weather radar on. Transponder, TCAS is all up and going, and terrain radar as well. We're going to need that as we depart out of the valley. As you can see, we're sitting down here and we've got the mountains and hills on either side of us. Today we're flying to Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories. Whitehorse area traffic, Air Canada 5556, backtracking runway 32 left from Echo. We'll come up here to the turnaround, and then we'll be good to go on the takeoff and departure. So once we get up and we're above 10,000 feet climbing to cruise, I'm going to put on the in-flight entertainment, and then I've got to go spend a little bit of time with First Officer Molly, our puppy, so she doesn't feel all left out and abused. As I mentioned, she is in her crate right now, nice and quiet, but we'd like to get her out and let her know that it's not punishment, I just have to do my work. So, alright, let's get this thing spun around and we will be good to go. Oh, no problem, Liam. That's fine. I mean, there's even some days I can't do the streams just because life comes along and gets in the way and things happen. It is all good. Thanks for coming by when you can. All right. So one of the reasons we're on flaps too and stuff is we are at a higher elevation, 2,300 feet. Started with my teacher again, and I'm busy this week. Oh yeah, I know, school's starting up again. It's all good. All right, we're gonna bring the engines up to 40%. Start bringing them up and ready to go. Clock is running. Everything is identified. Lights are good, and we are good for departure. Whitehorse area traffic, Air Canada 5556, rolling runway 32 left on the Tamku 3 departure. Brakes released. And takeoff power set. Man, flex 62 degrees, SRS and runway enabled. Auto throttle blue. Airspeed's alive. 100 knots. It's V1, rotate. Positive rate. Gear up, speed brakes disarmed. Here goes the airport. Alright, we're looking good. Autopilot on, we're going to follow the course out. Flight's about 2 hours. Is that gate to gate or airtime? Let me just check. Airtime's an hour and a half. It's 2 hours gate to gate. All right. Power back and climb thrust. Turn off lights are off. Taxi lights are off. Wing lights are off. It's 5,000 feet. Through S speed. Flaps up. Beautiful northern Canada here. Mostly rocks, trees, and water over huge areas of the north. - 6,000 feet. And there's the first turn. And basically, we're going to follow the valley here up as we continue to climb. Lovely day out here in the Yukon. All right, so let's get the map up. Don't like that little hesitation there. I'll hide this. Get rid of that. Make sure we are in map mode. Oh, they've updated this. Interesting. We'll get rid of that and yeah. Okay, well, as long as you can stay, that'd be great. Do have the entertainment and everything lined up. Okay, we're through 10,000 feet, so lights will come off. Dimmed off, that should be off. We can release the seat belts in the back and everyone can start to enjoy. So I'm not too worried about terrain now. So I'm going to turn off the terrain radar. And we're just going to keep climbing up. We're almost up to our high level climb speed. Everything is looking good. So that's on. We're all on. Everything is looking good. Alright, so I'm going to get the entertainment up and running, and then I'm going to go take care of Miss Molly. So I'll be around in the chat. I'll let you know if I actually have to leave and take her outside. Other than that, if you have any questions or anything, I'll be in the chat. And I'll be back on the mic for our briefing for our arrival into Yellowknife shortly. Talk to you then.
Atlantic seaboard, one fine morning in 1943, an imposing force of American naval air power proceeds to an important rendezvous. This force is the aircraft complement of a new carrier. Fighters, dive bombers, torpedo bombers. With the air group commander leading everyone, they're flying out to sea to join the ship which will be their floating home and fighting base. It is one of many carriers which the American people have built since Pearl Harbor to destroy the enemy in his own part of the world, far away. And there now is our base, powerful, serene. In honor of all American aircraft carriers, let us call her the Fighting Lady. Against a good solid wind with their tail hooks down, our planes come into the broad flight deck of their new home. In case the plane's work fails to catch the arresting gear, there's a series of stout wire barriers. Number one man on the flight deck just now is the LSO, the landing signal officer, always a flyer himself. Like all aviators, he'd much rather be flying. Come on in and sit down. The plane is out of the groove and he waves it off. Come around another time, pilot, and we'll take you aboard. When planes land, they taxi quickly forward out of the way. Later, they'll have to be shifted to the stern and rearranged in proper position for takeoff. This is called respotting the deck. Here is our skipper, Jocko, veteran Navy flyer, Annapolis, 1917. He is not impressed by our earnest efforts or the flight deck control officers. The skipper calls all hands together and gives us a piece of his mind.
You'll never be ready for combat unless you flight deck crews learn right now to work as a team. Don't you men realize that before long we'll be in dangerous waters? That's too slow. Bear a hand. Watch out. Keep that wing clear. Get it over to starboard. Way over to starboard. Come on, get the lead out of your pants. Now, this is the way your deck should look when you're ready for action.
Our ship, our Fighting Lady, is enormous, wonderful, and strange. Stem to stern, the entire ship is a honeycomb, watertight, flame-proof compartments. Far below the waterline are engine rooms, fire rooms, fuel tanks, magazines packed with enough assorted high explosives to blow us all to kingdom come. The hangar deck is like a gigantic tunnel, nearly 2 city blocks long, wide enough to house 4 freight trains abreast. Take us a week, a month maybe, to learn our way around. These new surroundings are as mysterious to us as they are cold and personal. Our Fighting Lady is like a huge floating cave, noisy and uncomfortable. Elevators as big as a tennis court carry us topside to the flight deck. The great superstructure rising amidships is called the island. This is truly the ship's nerve center, its fighting brain. 85% of us who make up the Fighting Lady's family are volunteers in this war and never been to sea before. We learned our jobs theoretically in intensive training ashore. A very short while ago, we were high school boys, college kids, or bank clerks, or farm hands, or factory workers. Now we are blue jackets and Marines, all members of a naval combat team nearly 3,000 strong. In our multitude of new tasks and duties as a team, we're very green. curiosity and comradeship, and the instinct of self-preservation are great features. Some of us have to master the delicate and complicated instruments which control the fire of our 5-inch batteries, the guns that must defend the fighting lady when enemy dive bombers and torpedo planes attack. We train and train to learn our stuff and earn our E for efficiency. The Fighting Lady's destination is still a closely guarded secret. No one can hide the fact that we are entering tropical waters. Our ship seems more friendly and comfortable now. We greenhorns feel that a suntan will at least make us look like fighting sailors. Even our mascot, Scrappy, has been at sea longer than most of us. Some of the mystery that has been hanging over us is lifted when we enter the Panama Canal. There's a lot of unprofessional nervousness about whether or not we're too big to get through the locks. By using lines instead of fenders, we do get through. As the naval constructors knew all along we would.
Come on, hop aboard. We're going places. Who's up that wood? Everybody wants to swamp?
Now we stand out into the Pacific. Life aboard settles down into the night. Here are our aircraft pilots, officers only. Ship's company call them the glamour boys. They are the men who fly and fight our planes. All the efforts of all the rest of us are concentrated on putting these people into the air and getting them back here. Most of us are hiding a certain amount of nervousness and anxiety. Many of us are Johnny-come-latelys, reserve officers who only recently learned to fly at Corpus Christi and Jacksonville. Others among us are specialists who trained at Quonset Point, Rhode Island. Reserves are called by the regulars, in a friendly way, 90-day wonders. In return, the Annapolis regulars are called the trade school boys. But whether Quonset or Annapolis, all are bound together in the fraternity, close fellowship of Navy men. Among the ship's non-commissioned personnel, almost 3,000 blue jackets, 100 Marines, the hottest shots are the air crew, aerial gunners and radio men. These boys and the plane captains are the partners of the glamour boys in the air. By non-flying blue jackets, they are called Zoom pigeons or Airedales. Because they receive 50% extra pay for flying, they are sometimes referred to as the bankroll boys. Everybody aboard ship backs up the flying crew. This requires the efforts of all manner of people. Many of the jobs are far from glamorous. All the little tasks and services you find along Main Street must be performed by some members of our carrier's crew. Though the Fighting Lady is a powerful ship of war, she is also a sizable American community. The population must be supplied with all the necessities and some of the comforts of home. Doc Sorensen, the pharmacist's mate, is just like a village drugstore. Next door is our hospital called Sick Bay. There's only a few patients now. Soon it will be filled with our wounded. Men like these who perform the humble jobs that make life aboard a fighting carrier more bearable, barbers, cobblers, seldom mentioned in communiques, they all have a place in our fighting team. Weeks pass. Now we are far out into the Pacific, which is a very considerable body of water. Monotony shuts down on us between our duties. Guessing where we're bound is still our pastime. Will we put into pearls? We're going to Iron Bottom Bay or drinking fountain conversation? out the ship, then get together in little groups to take refuge from the heavy burden of waiting for something to happen. And then one day, out of nowhere, comes a fast fleet tanker, and we're refueled at sea. This tells us something. This tells us that we are not going to Pearl or any other land base for a long, long time. Besides our skipper, we have an admiral aboard, a sea dog who's been a naval flyer for nearly 20 years. Till now, only these officers have known where we are to go. But now Jocko, our captain, confers with the air group commander and reveals the plan. The fighting lady has been ordered to make a strike. We will pass through waters where no carrier task force has ventured since the bloody Battle of Midway. Remember, this is 1943, long before we took the Marshall Islands. Weather studies are made. Though this is a daily routine, somehow the whole ship senses that something is about to happen. Even before the news is broadcast to all of us, there's a new tension, atmosphere of expectancy. Then we are told we have traveled more than 7,000 miles from Panama, so that tomorrow, August 30th, 1943, we can strike the Jap base at Marcus Island, deep within the enemy's ring of defenses. The evening before our first strike, the air group commander briefs all his pilots with maps and a model of our target. We are sticking out our necks to within 1,000 miles of Tokyo to divert the Japs' attention from other American activities far south and east of Marcus. Those of us who have never before been in battle, most of us, ask a lot of questions to those who have seen action.
Keep coming. Don't break off until you're practically on the same course, right astern of the enemy. Then push over fast.
Outwardly, we try to seem composed and cheerful. Lots going on inside our minds. We question our most inner selves. What would it be like? How are we taking it? We do all right? This is the night when a lot of boys write one more letter home. Among those playing acey-deucey in the wardroom is a chubby 23-year-old from Eureka Springs, Arkansas, Lieutenant E.T. Stover, nicknamed Smokey. That's he sitting on the far right. Having flown 50 missions at Guadalcanal, Smokey has been ordered to take a rest. He'd much rather be flying. Before dark on the eve of battle, our planes are loaded with bombs and gas. So that each plane will be in its precise position for a speedy takeoff, we spot and respot our deck. Now all is perfect. We will strike at dawn. And now GQ, General Quarters. Every man on the ship goes to his battle station, his special place on the fighting team. George, the barber, will pass ammunition. Leo, the baker, will be a sky lookout. Frank, the tailor, is assigned to a first aid station. Pilots are in their ready rooms. Each squadron, fighter, bomber, torpedo bomber, assemble separately. Flyers get into their flight gear and receive last-minute data and instructions. On the flight deck, our first battle dawn awaits us. Our whole ship is on hair trigger. The Fighting Lady is hardly 100 miles from the first target of her career. These last few minutes before the order for our first action are the toughest time of all. A wise man once said, war is mostly waiting. You learn now what that can mean. At last the word comes.
Pilot, man your plane. Ready room 3, roger. Pilot, man your plane.
Fighters take off first to form cover aloft for the other squadrons. Then the bombers, heavy laden with destruction. The sun has risen now, and our escorts are alert for enemy submarines. The Fighting Lady steams boldly toward our target to lessen the distance for our planes when they return. The radio plotting room is the electric eye and ear by which the Fighting Lady detects and keeps tab on all planes and ships for miles around us. Smokey, the fighting ace from Arkansas, has been put in charge of this room for our big day. Hunched among his assistants, Smokey is like a super quarterback on a super football team. He is in constant touch with our entire air group. As our first fighters race in toward Marcus Island, they stay low, hoping to escape detection by the enemy's radar. Then they climb suddenly and dive. Surprise strafing attack on the enemy's airstrips. These red balls floating up at us so lazily are anti-aircraft fire. There's 3 times as much of it coming up at us as we can see, because only 1 shell in 3 is a tracer. What look like fiery polywogs are traces from our own wing guns. The ack-ack is much heavier than expected, but through it we go to knock out enemy bombers on the ground. All through these battle pictures, realize that we are looking straight down our own gun barrels. These pictures are taken automatically by the same mechanism that operates the guns. The pictures even shake with the gun's recoil. Our eye is now the very eye of our fighting airplane. The enemy's picket boats and supply ships offshore are thoroughly strafed. No longer will these craft bring rice and sake and munitions to Marcus. Our bombers flying higher see the island beginning to burn. A moment ago, it looked like a little jade trinket in the cobalt sea. As the fighters and bombers swing victoriously away from Marcus Island, towering columns of smoke show the thorough job our boys have done. Back aboard ship, Smokey is tracking the flyers with care to be sure that none is missing, and that no enemy planes are trying to follow them out to our Fighting Lady. As our planes come aboard, there begins an operation almost as exciting as the attack itself. A ballet after battle, with the plane directors as dancing masters. The whirling propellers fill this scene with danger, but now our crews are trained and adept. Landing signal officer performs an eloquent adagio on the Fighting Lady's stern, warning to the rest of the cast to stay off stage until a limping member can be led out of the way. pilots go below to report to their combat intelligence officers. They have hot news, good news. They tell what they saw and did, how many rounds of ammunition they fired, how many bombs they dropped, what they hit, what they noticed at the target that was new and different or that may need hitting again. As the reports are added up and our combat photographers develop their pictures, the story becomes better and better. Every single Jap bomber on Marcus has been destroyed. 80% of the shore installations blasted or set afire. Hangars, radio stations, gas dumps, ammunition dumps. Marcus is now a lovely mess. In the radio plot, Smokey's worried. There are planes still up there, and he's wondering about it. They are ours, though, delayed by battle damage. Landing a shot-up plane on the carrier is a crucial test of how well-trained, how alert, steady a naval flyer is. Fighting Lady now has met her enemy. In the wardroom, the pilots who this morning felt new and nervous now talk like veterans. We have been baptized by fire and have survived nicely. We of the Fighting Lady are growing up. The admiral of our task force knows the overall strategy of the whole Pacific campaign. Smash straight through Japan's outer network of islands, recapture the Philippines, and land on the mainland of Asia. Thus, we will deny Japan supplies from Malaya and the Dutch East Indies and leave her far-flung island garrison marooned. Then we will reach out and really help our ally China. Months after Marcus, this campaign is well started. Our carrier task forces have been in many battles. And now, early in 1944, the Fighting Lady's target is Kwajalein, Marshall Islands. These are Jap Zeros, the fighter stream being pierced by our planes and planes from 8 other carriers, preparatory to strafing Kwajalein and bombing it apart. The fighter pilots have improved with practice, with the confidence that comes from experience. They estimate their range by watching their tracers. They hold their fire until their wing gun bullets converge to 300 yards. Shoot in bursts instead of in steady streams, which heat up the gun and spend ammunition. Kwajalein burning. Very satisfactory. After our bombing attacks and heavy shelling by our surface ships, assault craft filled with Marines and Army hit the beaches. Very soon after that, Kwajalein is ours. Japan's huge secret naval fortress 1,400 miles to the west, there apparently are some heavy units of the Japanese battle fleet. Perhaps we can surprise them. Again, the Fighting Ladies Squadron and squadrons from other carriers take off for combat. A lot of mouths are dry at the thought that our target is mighty truck. The rear seat gunners look back at the Fighting Lady, wondering when and if they will ever return to her. know about trucks, we know from a few photographs taken by some nervy Marines on reconnaissance just 18 days ago. Here, there is a complex of heavily fortified islands surrounded by airstrips, with naval anchorages at certain spots among the islands. For the next 2 days, more than 1,000 of our carrier-based planes are going to sweep in on truck in relays. The planes appear to float gently off our bow. Actually, their airspeed is a good 70 knots. Diving in on truck, we again turn on our guns and their synchronized cameras. Truck's defenders are aloft and we smack them hard. That were in men's mouths before this strike began now settle back into place and are singing once more. There's something really grand, something historic about diving in here on this place which Japan has been building and guarding jealously from all the Japanese eyes for 20 years. We dive right in low and take a good look at fighter strips, bomber bases, and seaplane ramps. Almost vertical dive, the pilot may black out or go blind for a moment when he pulls up and out at the bottom. The camera won't black out. It cannot see the landing of our own bomb, for we'll be up and away before that reaches the target. But it records the hits of other planes ahead of us. The Jap fleet here, but most of it's gone. Some lingering ships, including some of their fast fleet tankers, we find hiding in sheltered coves. The vessels which we are now strafing are other fleet auxiliaries, rice boats, transports, and ammunition ships. With bursts of 50 caliber incendiaries and armor-piercing slugs, we set them on fire, rip them open, often wide enough to sink. Ships filled with TNT is not very healthy for pilots who dive too low. But it's hard to tell who's carrying what until the big bang comes. Returning to the deck at 130 miles an hour with a flat shot away, all a pilot can hope to save is his own skin. Here comes our new air group commander. He's had a bit of trouble. His windshield is blotted with blood, and he has to feel his way aboard. Strafing at low altitude, he took a 40-millimeter anti-aircraft burst right in the face. More than 200 wounds. His plane a sieve. He'll live to fly again. Some planes will not return, but others come back and land somehow, anyhow. Considering the toughness of truck, our losses are astonishingly light. No time is lost getting casualties below. It's a long way from Truk to our secret rendezvous in the Marshall Islands. Someday it can be told just where this is. Actually, it is a magnificent new fleet anchorage, an advanced naval base, which we have taken from the Japs and made secure. Now, for the first time, we, who have been operating as separate, relatively small task forces, see assembled the enormous mass of naval power. Over 1 million tons of American fighting steel. New carriers, new battleships, new cruisers and fleet auxiliaries in an amount which Japan could never conceive, let alone produce. That we are able to maintain supply lines over the vast distances of the Pacific is one of the miracles of this war. In the comforting presence of so much power, we relax and refresh our battle-strained nerves.
Hey, Freddy, when you going to die? Thought you to swim, hey!
Our ship's post office now does really big business. Letters for us at last from home. Letters from us, friends, families. Our censors know our collective mood, our central hopes and thoughts.
The stuff is really getting out here now. I can't tell you much about it, but oh boy. And the more we get, well, the sooner I'll be seeing you.
All hands are called together. Our old skipper, Jocko, has been promoted admiral. Our new one's name is Dixie.
Men, as soon as I finish talking, we are getting underway. Our fighting lady is now part of what is designated Task Force 58. As you know, our final destination is a place called Tokyo. We'll have to fight hard to get there, but when we drop our hook at Yokohama, I'm going to throw a party. All hands are cordially invited.
Task forces are built compactly now around carriers like ourselves, with speedy new battle wagons at our side. The carrier skipper never leaves the bridge at sea, because carriers and their planes are the first to strike the enemy or to be struck by him. Our aircraft pilots are constantly on call, for despite the massive power spread out around us, these are still dangerous waters. Our pilots know this all too well, but it doesn't worry them now, for they're seasoned. They know how. There are a lot of new faces among us, but most of these men, too, have been in action. In places like Hollandia, Millie, Joliet, Palau, Rabaul, Wake, Naloilat. Our rear seat gunners and radio men are old hands now. Some of their faces are different, too, because there have been replacements. A lot of them have been made commissioned officers. There's a saying in the Navy that you never learn to love a carrier until she gets hurt. Well, perhaps we don't really love our fighting lady, but we've become mighty fond of her. It's almost comfortable, almost at home. Occasionally, our shipboard movies bring us that one thing we crave the most, one touch of something utterly American, one deep breath of home. Like Jocko, our new skipper, Dixie, is an old hell-diving Navy pilot. In their battle caps, he and Admiral Mitcher look like big league baseball managers. northwest we steam, and never before in history has an ocean borne such a weight of naval power. Not at Jutland, not at Japan's proud post Tsushima was there anywhere near the force with which we now assert that this is our ocean. This is our air. We're seeking the Japanese battle fleet to prove it. With our cruisers, our biggest new battle wagon present, we are strong enough to hope, really to hope, that we may provoke the Japanese fleet into accepting a fight. We're joined by plotting Coast Guard and Navy transports. Marines again. Oh, another amphibious assault is cooking. Our patrols have spotted an enemy search plane and are after her. She's a big bird. 20-ton, 4-motored Kawanishi seaplane, the kind we call Emily's. Miss Emily's a tough old girl. Right now, she's screaming for help and telling Tokyo by radio where we are. Hellcats are closing in on it. So long, Emily. Now that the enemy knows where we are, and we know he knows, our brass hats get together on final arrangements for what may turn into another Midway. Our objective, the first of many in our drive through to the Philippines and China, will be the Marianas. In battles just ahead of us, we are to make good use of a multitude of weapons, special devices, techniques, which have been evolved through the 30 years since the U.S. Navy first took to the air. Not only did our naval flyers create the aircraft carrier itself, but it was they who devised the torpedo plane, invented and perfected dive bombing. About our flight decks so that planes can be quickly armed are all manner of death-dealing objects. 500, 1,000, 2,000 pound bombs. We have torpedoes and incendiaries, and the kind of anti-personnel bombs we call daisy cutters. Some of our bombs are armor-piercing. Some for fragmentation. Others have delayed action fuses to prolong the effect of our bombardment for hours after we have delivered it. Here are the new rockets, which pack the same wallop as a 3-inch shell. They weigh little, and because there isn't much recoil, they can be fired from planes. On the eve of battle, we are told to scrub up to lessen the danger of infection in case we're wounded. On the eve of battle, divine services are held in relays, so that every one of our fighting ladies' 3,000 sons has a chance to attend. As the eve before battle lengthens, there is the usual waiting. And we're reminded that war is mostly waiting. Because all cooks and bakers must soon be at their battle stations, they work all night long preparing a hearty meal of steak and eggs for our 3 a.m. battle breakfast. We are being attacked. We are being attacked by Japanese torpedo planes skimming in after us, wing to water. All they want is one hit on our flight deck. We have nearly 90 planes fueled and loaded with bombs, ready for the takeoff. Patch of flame is a burning Jap. In this surprise attack, 19 Japs are polished off by our ship's batteries. Not a single carrier is hit. We have been fortunate. Now commences another major moment in the fighting lady's career. Flight quarter sounds. In this modern warfare, the young plane captains are to their pilots what squires were to armored knights of old. In this operation, typical of many more to come, a lot of other fighting ladies will be involved. Nearly 2,000 carrier-based planes, all of them attacking in air groups like our own. From now on, we tighten our belts and steady our hands, as our Navy makes progressively bigger attacks nearer and nearer the heart of Japan. Post and radio plot, tracking down enemy planes and cursing the luck that keeps him out of the air. Smokey chafes at being grounded on a day like this, especially when targets are juicy ones. All the Jap air bases and military installations in the Marianas, and a special prize package, Guam. The island which we did not fortify, but the Japs did. Now comes word that the Japs have sent strong air reinforcements to Tinian, which flanks Guam. Again, our synchronized cameras record, as no human eye and memory could record, just what our guns and bombs do to the enemy. These pictures enable our air combat intelligence officers to assess the damage as we swoop down upon Tinian. Planes return for more fuel and ammunition, the surface vessels take over. Prodigious naval barrage to prepare the beaches our assault forces are going to hit. Not only our newest, but some of our oldest and proudest battleships are here. The Colorado, the Tennessee, and the USS Pennsylvania, flagship of World War I. Winging home to the Fighting Lady, several of our planes, crippled, make a game attempt to land. Now is when the landing signal officer must judge not only the speed, but estimate the battle damage of planes like these. And flight deck emergency crews, firefighters, rescue details, and medical corpsmen exhibit almost incredible courage. The pilot of a torpedo plane has been unable to release his load of incendiaries. Burning thermite is spilling out at incandescent heat. In the plane's tanks remain about 75 gallons of high-octane gas. The men who brave this danger to save pilot and crew deserve every citation they get. Intelligence officers question battle-weary pilots. What did you see? Any Jap carriers in sight? Are you sure they were carrier-based planes? Then from radio plot comes uncomfortable news. Torpedo planes and dive bombers from enemy aircraft carriers are approaching. All hands, man your battle stations. To our engine room go orders for flank speed, which is a few knots faster than full speed, in case we need to take evasive action. All boilers are lighted to let the Fighting Lady outdo herself if necessary. The engine room people turn on the heat, and the propeller shafts churn like fate in their alleys. Fighting Lady leaps through the sea on her guard. Skipper Dixie gears himself for action. So does wise old Scrappy. And now, here they come. Torpedo bomber miraculously keeps coming through our wall of flak. She's approaching us fast with a life that must be charmed. Our gunners throw everything they've got, but still she comes. If he ever releases that torpedo, he missed us. Either the pilot was already dead or his release gear jammed. Smokey, the pride of Arkansas, hears about that when he almost takes over. Now our reconnaissance has spotted the Japanese task forces. This is the moment we've been fighting and praying for. Every plane that can fly and every qualified pilot is ordered into the air. Last Smokey gets his chance to fly again.
Pilots, man your planes. Pilots, And your planes.
Trade wind is tearing down our flight deck. Our planes straying forward to rise into it. Our entire air group thunders out behind the group commander. Now our fighters run into a swarm of Jap fighters, mostly Zeros, sent up to intercept our attack on the Japanese fleet. A mad aerial scramble begins, which the boys to this day still call the Marianas Turkey Shoot. 369 Jap planes are shot down in this single day, to our loss of 22. Japanese plane makers have sacrificed strength and firepower for agility. Their planes disintegrate quickly when you hit them. They have no armor plate, as ours have, nor are their gas tanks self-sealing. Monkeys are fancy flyers. They think aerobatics can win dog fights, whereas we believe in smooth flying and careful shooting. Japanese battle fleet. These are the first pictures ever taken of a great enemy naval formation like this. There it is, an Imperial fleet, crawling around below us in violent evasive action. Us looking down on them, the seas they think they own. Some of these Japanese ships are scampering away at better than 40 knots. When you bore straight down on them, they twist, squirm. Destroyer at the bow, hoping to shoot out his bridge, and he shoots back plenty. Let's go down after that cruiser. He answers us emphatically from the forward turret. A 25,000-ton Jap carrier of the Hayataka class is going to get it. Watch 5 o'clock in the camera, the lower right-hand corner of the screen. This big flat top gets it where the turkey got the axe. stretch off some of these babies. Just watch this. And now we come home from the Battle of the Philippine Sea. 17 Jap warships have been sunk or severely damaged. Several of our returning planes have been badly shot up. A dive bomber comes in out of gas. He pulls off to starboard, but noses over because his wheels are down. This pilot has 73 holes in his plane, and his leg almost shot away. To clear the deck for other planes, number 30, badly damaged, is jettisoned, given the deep 6. Watch carefully. This man's controls are all but shot away. He steps out of it, smiling. And now it is time to paint up the scores. On this fine morning, just a year after being commissioned, a fighting lady is beginning to look like a stamp album. She has done her share, amassing Task Force 58's grand total of 757 Jap aircraft destroyed in a 2-week turkey shoot. But there's another score to add up. Our own casualties. Quite a few faces are no longer with us on the fighting lady. Among them, Lieutenant Commander Upton, skipper of our torpedo squad. Lieutenant Pappy Conlon. Lieutenant John Meehan. And that fightingest gentleman, Lieutenant Smokey Stowell. Yes, Smokey's missing too. Salute them under their country's flag. They were brave. They were gallant. Others will come forward to take their places. The battles we have fought on the seas and in the sky are only the beginning. Still hungry for battle will seem our carrier. Serene, powerful, unafraid. She and her planes will come home again someday, God grant, but not until the bitter, glorious end. For she is, and we salute, the fighting lady.
Alright, welcome back to the flight deck. Well, you would have seen me making some alterations there. We got the latest weather out of Yellowknife, and the winds have swung around. They are now coming out of the south, and winds are 170 at 7 knots. So I'm just going to put it into the chat. So you can see 170, 7 knots, 15 miles of visibility, few clouds, 6,000, a few at 16,000, broken 25,000, 15 degrees. 29902, which is the barrel, which is fine. Is standard pressure, and a little bit of scattered cloud around the area. So we had to change our approach, and since we're already on like the last leg again, I had to do a little of jiggery pokery to get us heading in. But we're now heading into Alaroo, which is the initial approach fix, coming in this way. This time we're doing the Arnav Zulu runway 16. So just to get the final bits up and going here, no, I don't need to direct to. We'll go flight plan, fix info at Charlie Yankee Zulu Foxtrot. We're going to put in the 25-mile minimum safe altitude radius, and then since we're landing on 16, we'll put in the extended center line for there. Charlie Yankee Zulu Foxtrot again, and that will be on radial 340, and that will give us that. So if we come down here and look, we can see we now have the extended center line showing, and we have the 25-mile minimum safe altitude. We're 80 miles from top of descent, so we can start entering in the rest of the information. I don't think we're going to get another weather update until we get in there, but we will see. So we'll go into the approach phase. We'll put in the information we got out of the METAR. So that is going to be 902. Current temperature in Yellowknife is 15 degrees. Winds are 170 at 7. Transition level is 18,000 feet, or flight level 180. Barrow for this arrival. Straight in landing, ILNAV VNAV 926 feet. And the airport elevation here is 675. Oh, hi Liam. Oh, you're on your phone? Good stuff. So our landing approach speed is going to be 132. Our landing speed is going to be 127. It's going to be a full flap landing. We are all good there. And 71 miles to the top of descent. We're going to go right down to the platform altitude of 2100. And that will get us down. We're about 70 miles out from starting our descent. But we've come out of the mountainous area. We're now on this kind of flat central tundra wilderness north type of terrain. A little bit of rolling hills and stuff. No big mountains. We've left them all behind. And we're basically flying straight in now. And we'll be descending straight into the turn point for the RNAV. And if we drag this over, we can see Yellowknife is here. So we're coming straight down and then going to make the turn and land at the airport. This is Great Slave Lake, and Yellowknife is on this little extension here. Oh, so we'll get rid of that map now. And I will move the chat box back down to its normal position. There we go. So everything is good. Fuel is good. We've got 10,000 pounds of fuel on board, according to the flight plan. We should have 7,597 once we're down and done. So we've got about 2,500 pounds of fuel to burn. Of course, we'll be going into idle as we descend, so that's going to make that a lot easier. Everything else is good. So there's no actual arrival that we're doing. We're just flying straight to that initial approach fix on the approach. There is one or two arrivals, but they're basically from aircraft coming out of the south. Sitting here sweating away in this heat. Got the AC going, but still a little bit warm here. Time for a little treat. So tomorrow we're back, 1930 again, and we will be flying the DC-3. We're flying out of Lansing, Michigan, and we are heading to Indianapolis, Indiana. And that is our DC-3 flight for tomorrow. And our U.S. Capitals tour, touring the lower 48, visiting all of the all of the capital cities. So we're just monitoring now and waiting for our descent. Let's see, what do we have traffic-wise going into Yellowknife? Just us. Yellowknife does usually get a fair amount of traffic for where it is. Not only traffic coming out of Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, I think Ottawa as well. You also get northern traffic, so between Whitehorse, Yellowknife, and Quadrant, and some of the other places up in the north here. And of course from Yellowknife down to Edmonton, which is like the main feeder in. So it's fairly busy airport with a good dozen flights a day going in there. And when I was up there, was it 2 years ago? Last year? Can't remember. Maybe it was last year. Can't remember. Anyway, I was talking with one of the flight attendants on the aircraft, and she said that, yeah, they were looking at adding extra flights in because they were getting back up to pre-COVID levels, and it was full flights, all the flights. Then they were doing 4 a day, and they used to do 6. So I think they were adding up to 5. But everything is good. Alright, so we're about 30 miles out from top of descent. So we're going to dial 2100 feet and get us down to that point we want to be at. 2100 feet being our platform altitude for the RNAV. Not expecting any issues with weather. It is all good. For the airport, we don't really have a 25-mile radius. They got a 30-mile. Just terrain advisory. I don't think there's much in the way of large mountains or anything here. So we should be pretty good. I'm going to go into the fixed page. We'll come down here. We're going to change that up to a 30. There we go. It gives us a 30-mile radius. Have I been to Hull in England? No. Haven't been to Hull. Been to a few places. Not as many as I have up in Scotland, but I've been to a few places. But Hull not one of them, no. So Yellowknife is famous. Hey, Dark. How are you doing? Yellowknife is famous for 2 things. One, it is obviously the home base of Buffalo Airways, which you may know from the TV show. And it is pretty cool. You can visit their shop there, see some of the aircraft. DC-3, DC-6s. They just bought a 737. So it's now up there. That's pretty cool. It's also where Max Ward started his bush plane stuff and all that, and that expanded out to be Ward Air. We did a series flying Ward Air in the A320. And he was based out of Yellowknife as well, which was pretty cool. Doing good. Surviving the heat, trying to. It's damn hot out. And Just trying not to melt every time I have to take little Molly out, which I'm going to have to do again after the flight, and after I get her some dinner. I think we may go for a walk before I do my dinner. Alright, so 6 miles out, we're going to start down now in our descent. Yellowknife area traffic, Air Canada 5556, descending from flight level 370 inbound to Adsel for the RNAV Zulu runway 16 Yellowknife. Suck on a popsicle, yeah. Popsicle, an ice cream cone, an ice cube, anything I can get. Yeah, I know it's up in the north. In fact, I haven't been to Leeds, but last year I actually went to York for the first time. Spent the day there and walked the walls, went to the cathedral, checked out some of the Viking stuff, walked around the old parts of the cities and stuff. It was a really cool experience. Really did enjoy my visit in York. A place I've always wanted to go, given its history. There we go. So there we can start to see Great Slave Lake. There's that northern arm extension that we saw on the map. And the airport is down over here, almost straight ahead of us. Oh, on the walks? Yeah, I bring water. Water for her, water for me. And it's one of the good things my long Army career gave me, was the ability to lug stuff around without too much worry. So I'm always loaded up for these walks, so that way we're nice and comfortable. Alright, we got a good descent rate going here, going up through 33,000 feet. And again, we are flying the Retro Air Canada. Oh, let's go to this side where the sun is. The Retro Air Canada livery. Very nice. Alright, we're just going to switch over to local, which is standard pressure 299.2. So that is good. We'll do the other one so we don't get the warnings. And 1013 is set on that one, which is good. There's 30,000 feet. Seatbelts can come on. We'll let them know on the back. They can start getting everything ready for our arrival. 9,500 pounds of fuel. We should have 7,500 when we're down, so that is looking good as well. So we did fly. I flew in here with Kevin. We were doing a test flight. It was a VATSIM flight actually, and it was during when the fires were coming, and yeah, this was all hazy. It was pretty obvious. You could see the haze and everything coming in. Fires have receded a bit. I don't think they're as much, but they evacuated the whole town of Yellowknife. Like, everybody had to get out, and there's pictures of it just coming in on fire, burning in. It's 27,000 feet. And we are 64 miles out. So we're going to be landing, then we're going to have to turn around, backtrack back up, as there's no taxiways, really. It's just the runways. And then we'll be heading to the apron. Yeah, it was. It's been really bad for the fires here. They've been going all summer. There's a place, another place down on the south side of Great Slave Lake here, which is a huge lake, called Hay River, and they've had to evacuate too. They were looking really bad. I think they might have got hit by it though. Alright, so when we get down to Illaroo, they want us at 210. So we're doing a lot of slowing down here. Seeing as we don't have any restrictions and we're just kind of coming in. Yep. Well, the problem with up north is it's literally millions of square kilometers of woodland before you get to the Arctic tundra. I mean, they're not huge trees up north, but they're still 30 or 40 foot trees, and it's just like hundreds and hundreds and thousands of kilometers of wood. So when it gets really bad burning like that, it just goes. $20,000 feet. As you can see, there's that northern arm of Great Slave Lake, and then the lake is humongous. It's all the way down here. That's us through 20,000. So we had the weather load in. Just give them a ding in the back. Speed is starting to edge downwards. Of course, we're above profile. So we have the speed brakes out. 41 degrees in Portugal? Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, in the area I'm in, we usually get 1 or 2 days in the 40. And then in the winter, we usually get a couple of days in the minus 40. So, it happens. Alright, we're not going to need the instrument landing systems. We are good there. Everything is looking good. We'll arm the speed brake. I'll rearm it if I need it. We'll go with auto brakes low. We had a deceleration point coming up once we're through 10,000. We're going to go to approach phase, get our speed down. Green dot is 201 for us, so it's below the maximum. So a little bit of a haze over Yellowknife. And there's Great Slave Lake extending out. It is massive. You would freeze? Yeah. It gets cold here. The Arctic air coming down. There's no warm water to moderate it, so we spend a lot of February in the low minus 20s to the high minus 30s. Well, no, that doesn't make sense. Between minus 25 and minus 35 is typical in February. Oh yeah, we get great thunderstorms. Thunderstorms, snowstorms, blizzards. all that good stuff. Not as much as they get south of us in the States because of the lakes. The lakes force a lot of that weather south. New York, across Lake Ontario from us, gets hammered. We can watch it. We can see the dark storms just dumping snow on them in the winter. But we get hit pretty hard up here as well. We get tornadoes in Ontario sometimes. We even had a hurricane in 1955. Alright. The decel point is here, so we should start slowing down to 250. There we are. Nose is coming up. Yeah, we don't get tropical ones. We get good summertime heat thermal ones up here. I've seen some good thunderstorms down in Florida and stuff. Yeah. All right, speed's coming back, so we're going to activate approach phase. I know we're above the speed. It's fine. It's coming back. And there's our vertical and lateral deviation has come in. Tornadoes are bad. Yep, we've had a couple of them here. Town of Barrie, about an hour north of Toronto, got hit right through the center of town. I remember that. Yeah. What's worse is if you go over to into Michigan, actually near Lansing, where we're taking off from tomorrow. I've been there a few times. There's a big U.S. Army base. I've worked there a number of years over the years. And they get tornadoes there all the time. Usually multiple in a storm. Alright, speed's coming down. I'm gonna let it slowly come down to 210. Orlando's great for thunderstorms, yeah. I saw a really good one I was in Cancun in Mexico. Saw a really, really cool thunderstorm there. Although I will say one of the best ones I saw was out in Oklahoma, Nebraska. A lot of electricity in it. It was lighting up the clouds like crazy. Alright, we're almost down. There's 8,000 feet. We're on the descent path. Everything is looking good. Ten miles out of Aileron, we will go into approach mode, and that should put us in the final approach phase, or at least arm it anyway. There's Yellowknife. Look at a little bit of a haze going there. So there's 10 miles, so we'll go into approach phase. There's our altitude, final altitude descent. We're in descent mode. App nav, approach navigate nav we're now going into. Speed's coming back. We're down below 210 knots now. Looking good, not seeing any other traffic. We're 16 miles out from the airport. Yellowknife area traffic, Air Canada 5556 is descending through 5,700. Inbound for the RNAV Zulu runway 16 through Aileron, and 15 miles out, Yellowknife. We're going to go to flaps 1 before we make the turn at Adsell, and we got about 5.5 miles after that to get ourselves up and stable and turned and everything. So actually we'll wait until we make the turn. And there's the terrain I was talking about, just water, rocks, and trees. Very rugged looking. "13 miles out. There's our 132 knot approach speed. Final ding for the cabin. Speed's back to 200 knots. Screen speed is 201. 4,000 feet. We are a hard 2100 at AdCell. Starting our turn. It's 3,500.
2,500.
She rocked a little bit. And we're going to be low over the countryside here as we come in. Can't quite see the airport in the haze. She's not reporting haze. Winds have come around now to 210 at 5. So she's really swinging around. Descending nicely. We're on final approach. We're going to go right through. Once we're below 2100, we'll reset to 4000, which is our missed approach altitude.
Terrain ahead.
So we're going to hold...
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
You're fine. We're not descending anymore.
Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Alright, so we're going to go flaps
Terrain
1.
ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up.
See, we're kind of holding.
Terrain
we're
ahead.
waiting to pick up
Pull
the
up.
marker again. Where do I shut that off?
Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead.
That
Pull
wasn't
up.
it.
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
That's not it either.
Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Well, there's the airport right here.
1,000.
Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead.
Interesting,
Pull
it's not
up.
giving us proper vertical deviation. Oh, there it is. It's starting to come in. Gear down. Flaps 2. And gear down 3 green, flaps 3. And flaps full. Missed Approach altitude set, 4,000 feet. Gear down, 3 green lights are on. Speed brake is armed. Auto brakes set for low.
500.
I have control. That wind's slightly out of the right.
Hundred above. Minimum.
Continue.
100. 50. 40. 30. 10. 5.
Just wanted to get her down. A little bit of a bounce there. There we go. Reversers are up. Auto brakes are on. 80 knots. 70 knots. Reversers are off. 60 knots. Manual braking. Yellowknife area traffic, Air Canada 5556, backtracking runway 16 for the terminal. Thank you. We'll see how we did in a second. Just want to get this thing turned around. There we go. The tiller in. Oh, never did turn my landing lights on. Oh well. Let's get the APU up. All the little things you forget when you're not following the checklist. It's currently 15 degrees. We got a low going down to 1. It's fairly chilly. Alright. We're going to get off at Alpha, which is at the intersection of the 2 runways. Alright. I get the flaps up, ground spoilers are disarmed. This is generic default scenery here, so not a lot. To be seen here, but we will just pull up to where the terminal is. It is stair loading when you get in here, although I flew in here in a Q400, so out of Edmonton. They do fly bigger things out of here when they have to. Alright. So let's get a look at where we're headed over here. We'll ignore the ground crew. No idea what gates are here. It doesn't say there's any suitable parking anyway. We're going to make sure we avoid the fuel pumps there. We'll swing her in. go. Something like that. Okay, Liam, thanks for coming out. Appreciate your visit. Have a great day. Alright, so now that we're here, we can come down to the panel. We'll come into our ground services. Make sure chocks and GPU is available. We'll pop up here. External power is now on. Kill the engines. Strobes are off. Taxi lights off. Beacon light can come off. We'll leave the nav lights on. Ground equipment is coming in. We'll bring in all that, and flight directors can come off as well. Let's get the stairs, and the doors open. And we can start unloading and deboarding. Thank you all very much for coming along. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you on the next one. We are back again tomorrow for our U.S. Capitals in the DC-3. See you on that one. Bye for now.